If you've ever felt exhausted chasing people's attention, if you've ever begged for someone to stay, if you've ever broken your own soul just to be accepted, this message is for you. And before we even go any deeper, pause for a moment, take a breath, and subscribe to this channel. Because what you are about to hear will be the reminder your heart was waiting for. The reminder your soul has been silently craving, the reminder that can free you from the pain of always running after people who were never meant to carry your worth. Because the truth is simple, you don't need to chase people, you need to chase Allah. And once you do that, everything else will begin to realign itself in ways you never imagined. Because what you've been seeking in people's approval was never designed to satisfy you. Because people are temporary, but Allah is forever. People change, but Allah remains. People leave, but Allah never abandons. And the pain you've been carrying from rejection after rejection isn't because you're not good enough. It's because you were chasing the wrong source of love. You were chasing creation instead of the Creator. And every time you placed your happiness in people's hands, you gave them the power to destroy your peace. But today, we begin to break that cycle, because this isn't just motivation, this is survival. This is your return to the truth you forgot while you were busy trying to hold on to people who were never meant to carry what only Allah can hold. You see, when you chase people, you will always feel like you're running uphill. You will always feel tired, anxious, insecure, constantly wondering if they'll stay, constantly fearing if they'll leave, constantly negotiating your worth just to be accepted. But when you chase Allah, the chase ends, the anxiety lifts, the fear dissolves, because you are no longer seeking from people what only Allah can provide. You no longer need their approval to feel valuable. You no longer need their presence to feel loved, because your heart now drinks from a well that never runs dry, the well of divine connection, the well of unconditional love from the one who created you, who sustains you, who sees every tear you cry when no one is watching, who listens to every silent prayer when your voice is too weak to speak. To know who you really are and where your worth lies, your suffering, your life, your sorrow, your desperation, your condescension, and your honor. That's who you really are and where your voice is too weak to speak. Who writes every sacrifice you've made in secret and promises you that nothing you've endured for his sake is ever wasted. But Shaitan doesn't want you to discover this. Shaitan wants to keep you trapped in the exhausting cycle of chasing people, chasing validation, chasing love that always seems out of reach. Because he knows that as long as you chase people, your focus is scattered, your peace is fragile, your self-worth is dependent on external circumstances, and your heart remains vulnerable to the constant ups and downs of human relationships. But once you turn your chase towards Allah, once your heart declares, Ya Allah, you are enough for me, whether the people stay or leave, whether the world applauds or forgets, whether I'm seen or invisible, that is when your soul finally rests. That is when you finally breathe, because chasing Allah means you are anchored, you are grounded, you are held by the one whose love isn't based on your performance, whose acceptance isn't conditional on your perfection, whose nearness isn't withdrawn when you fall, because even in your moments of weakness, He remains close. And even in your moments of failure, His mercy surrounds you. And even when everyone else grows distant, He stays near, closer than your own heartbeat, closer than your own thoughts, closer than the tears you hide in your pillow at night. And this is the truth that will set you free. Because chasing people will always leave you thirsty, but chasing Allah will flood your heart with a peace that no relationship, no friendship, no applause could ever provide. And the Prophet taught us this with his life. When people rejected him, he turned to Allah. When his own tribe mocked him, he turned to Allah. When those he loved most were taken from him, he turned to Allah. And that's why his heart never broke the way ours do, because his attachment was always anchored to the one who never leaves, the one who always remains, the one who promised, I am as my servant thinks of me. And this is where your healing begins, when you stop chasing what was never yours to hold, when you stop begging people to love you, to choose you, to see your worth, and you start chasing the one who already chose you, who already wrote your worth before you were even born, who already promised you that what is meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant for you. And when you live in that certainty, you no longer beg for love, you no longer fear rejection, you no longer crumble when people disappoint you, because your heart rests in the hands of the most merciful, who never breaks hearts that are sincerely handed to him. And once you finally let go of the exhausting chase, once your soul surrenders and your hands release what they were so desperately clinging to, that is when the true miracles begin. That is when Allah steps in and gives you more than you ever thought you lost. Because letting go isn't losing, it's making space for what was always better, always safer, always more beautiful, but you were too busy holding on to people to receive it. And that's why Allah sometimes allows people to leave your life, not to hurt you, but to heal you, not to punish you, but to purify you. Because as long as you keep chasing people, your hands are too full to receive what Allah has written for you. But when you finally surrender, when your heart whispers, Ya Allah, I trust you, even if it hurts, even if I don't understand, even if the people I thought would stay have walked away, that is when you finally open yourself to the greater plan that has always been unfolding behind the scenes. Because Allah sees the conversations you never heard, the intentions you never knew, the betrayals you were protected from without even realizing it. And so, when He removes people, He is not depriving you, He is preparing you for something better, for something greater, for something that aligns with your purpose and your peace. And it's in these moments of surrender that you finally taste a sweetness that no human relationship can offer, the sweetness of true tawakkul, true reliance on the one who holds your future in his perfect hands. But shaitan will keep whispering that letting go means losing, that surrender means weakness, that trusting Allah means you'll be lonely forever. But don't listen, because the truth is, when you let go of what was never written for you, you make space for what was always yours. And Allah replaces every tear with a blessing, every heartbreak with healing, every unanswered question with a wisdom that will one day make you weep, not from pain but from gratitude. And if only you could see what's coming, you'd stop chasing people and start running towards your Lord with even more desperation than you ever chased anyone else. Because His plan is always better, always more beautiful, always perfectly timed, even when it feels delayed, even when it feels silent, even when your heart wonders why it had to lose so much to find peace. But you'll realize soon that every loss was a redirection, every rejection was protection, every silence was preparation, and every moment you spent chasing people who didn't value you was Allah's mercy, gently pulling you away from places you didn't belong. Because your worth was never in being chosen by people, it was always in being chosen by Allah, and He has already chosen you. He chose you when He wrote your story before your first breath. He chose you when He guided your heart back to Him after every fall. He chose you when He kept forgiving you long after you gave up on yourself. And His choosing isn't temporary like people's attention. His love doesn't fluctuate like people's moods. His acceptance isn't based on your performance, but on your repentance. And this is why chasing Allah brings rest, because even when you fall short, even when you break promises, He chose you when He chasing Allah brings rest, because even when you fall short, even when you break promises, even when you sin and stumble, he still says, call upon me and I will respond. Not because you are worthy, but because he is endlessly merciful, endlessly forgiving, endlessly near. And when you live in that nearness, you no longer need to beg for crumbs of attention from people who don't even understand your soul. You no longer need to edit yourself just to fit into spaces that shrink your spirit. You no longer need to compromise your values just to be loved by those who were never capable of loving you properly, because Allah's love frees you, it dignifies you, it heals you, and when he fills your heart, you finally realize that everything you were chasing in people, acceptance, validation, peace, belonging, you already had it waiting for you all along in your connection with him, but you were too distracted to feel it, too busy running after people who were running after their own empty pursuits. But now you see, now you understand, and now you finally choose differently, not because you no longer want love, but because you now want it from the only source that never dries up, from the one who already wrote your name in his book, who already called you his servant, who already promised you that whatever you give up for him will be replaced with something greater, both in this world and the next. And once you finally step into that freedom, the freedom of chasing only Allah, the weight you've carried for so long begins to lift. The anxiety that once ruled your every interaction starts to fade, and you finally breathe differently, not because the world has changed, but because your heart has realigned itself with its original purpose. Because you were never created to chase people. You were created to chase Jannah, to chase nearness to the one who shaped your soul before you even existed, to chase the approval of the one whose gaze never leaves you, whose love never wavers, whose mercy is wider than all your mistakes combined. And when your heart tastes that kind of security, you stop fearing who stays or who leaves. You stop calculating your worth based on who applauds you or ignores you, because you finally realize that being unseen by the world doesn't mean you are unseen by Allah. Being overlooked by people doesn't mean you are overlooked by your Creator. And what once would have broken you now builds you. What once made you desperate now makes you grateful, because your soul has finally come home. It has finally returned to its place of safety, not in people's hands, but in Allah's mercy. And this is where you experience a type of peace the dunya cannot offer. A peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, a peace that follows you through the storms of life, because you now walk with the confidence that your Lord sees every silent tear, hears every unspoken dua, records every hidden sacrifice, and stores every small act of sincerity for a day when you will wish you had done more. And that realization humbles you, it softens you, it changes how you love, how you forgive, how you let go. Because now you love for the sake of Allah, you forgive for the sake of Allah, you let go for the sake of Allah. And suddenly the opinions of people feel lighter, their judgments lose power, their absence no longer wounds you the way it once did, because your stability no longer rests on something so fragile. Your foundation is now unshakable, because it is anchored in the one who never disappoints. And even when life tests you, even when people betray you, even when doors close, you whisper to yourself, "It's okay, I wasn't chasing them, I was chasing Allah, and He never left." And that whisper becomes your strength, your comfort, your healing, because while the world spins with chaos and comparison, your soul is finally still, resting in divine contentment. And this is where true freedom lives, not in having everything, but in needing only one, not in being surrounded by people, but in knowing you are always surrounded by His mercy, not in controlling outcomes, but in trusting His wisdom. Because when you chase people, your happiness becomes as unstable as their emotions. But when you chase Allah, your happiness becomes as stable as His promise, and His promise never fails. His mercy never runs out, His love never expires, and His provision always arrives exactly when you need it, not a moment sooner or later. And once your heart learns this, you begin to see every loss differently, every delay with new eyes, every closed door as redirection, every unanswered dua as preparation. And you thank Allah for what you didn't get, for what didn't work out, for who didn't stay, because you finally trust that what is meant for you will reach you without you having to chase, without you having to break yourself to keep it. And the only thing worth chasing was always and will always be Allah, His pleasure, His nearness, His Jannah. And as you walk forward, lighter than you've ever been, you smile through the tears that once made you weak, because you realize now those tears were never signs of failure, they were signs of growth. They were your soul shedding the weight of what was never meant for it. And now you are free, free from the exhausting race for attention, free from the addiction to being chosen, free from the need to explain your worth to those who can't see it, because you are seen fully, completely, intimately by the one who matters most. And He has been waiting for you to stop chasing what was never yours, so He can finally give you what has been written for you all along. Something greater, something eternal, something pure. And it all begins the moment you let go of chasing people and start chasing Allah.